要求很简单，击败我。
小小不朽，击败一位宇宙最强者，这怎么可能？这巨大的差距，不能通过兽神界补足吗？关键不单单是兽神界的外在要素，还有我自身的独特之处。那么我自身又有什么呢？剩下的就只有我为宇宙。
Hello guys, welcome to the SwallowedStar channel to discuss and explain the exciting storyline of your favorite series, SwallowedStar episode 218. In the previous episode, Luofeng's golden-horned beast body got snatched up by the craftsman master and tossed into a mysterious dimension called the Land of Extremes, which actually turned out to be a test setup by Zuo Shan K. Cut off from the original universe and completely losing his connection to the virtual universe network, Luofeng started exploring the area, only to be suddenly ambushed by 3 legendary Universe Overlords who were also stuck there. Even though they totally ganged up on him, he managed to turn the tables using his 9 Tiger River treasure and took them down. After busting through a deadly barrier layer, Luofeng arrived in a galaxy packed with mineral resources and immediately restored his divine body back to 100% by straight up swallowing a few planets. Right then and there, he was welcomed by the Flamestar Master, who explained that this dimension was actually an exclusive cultivation zone belonging to the Space Beast Alliance, before finally bringing Luofeng over to Space God Mountain, the ultimate gathering spot for Space God Mountain. So what exactly happens next? Alright, without further ado, let's jump right into the story. After Luofeng arrived at Space God Mountain, the various races of space beasts gathered there suddenly focused their attention on the newcomer, Luofeng. Looking around, he couldn't do anything but face the intense glares of the space beasts surrounding him. He started panicking, worried that his true identity as a human might actually be exposed. Not long after, 2 universe masters from the same golden-horned beast bloodline came over to meet him. Luofeng was completely shocked. There was no turning back now with so many powerful space beasts, 10 universe venerables, and 2 universe masters surrounding him with threatening looks. But when one of the golden-horned beasts named Venerable Feng stepped closer, the situation, which Luofeng initially thought would be terrifying, turned into a massive festive welcome for him. Meanwhile, since Flamestar Master had finished his task of introducing Luofeng to the golden-horned beast bloodline, he excused himself and handed over the next duties to Venerable Feng and Venerable Shan Wen. Thereafter, Venerable Feng shouted, calling all the golden horn races to gather around and welcome Luofeng with their signature dance. Here, Luofeng couldn't believe it. According to the many rumors out there, space beasts were known to be cold-blooded and murderous creatures. But when meeting their own kind, they actually treated each other like life-and-death brothers. Shortly after, the 2 Universe Masters, Golden Horn Master and Xuan Mia Master, congratulated Luofeng on his return. Luofeng stepped forward and immediately paid his respects to both Universe Masters, taking the chance to introduce himself as Jin Feng. Hearing about his incredible achievements, the 2 of them praised him for managing to grow into a Universe Venerable all on his own without the Alliance's guidance. They noted that if he had been guided by the Alliance from the start, his achievements would definitely be even higher. Not long after, a massive earthquake shook the area, and a super gigantic silhouette appeared, ordering the 2 Universe Masters to deliver a message to Luofeng he was to meet him in person. Hearing this, Luofeng was taken aback, but the Golden Horn Master told him not to be afraid, pointing out that most of the Universe Venerables there didn't even get the chance to meet the Space Beast ancestor. So, Luofeng should be incredibly proud of himself. Having just returned, he was already granted an audience with the highest figure in the Space Beast Alliance. It was an unbelievable opportunity. After Luofeng was escorted to the ancestor's place, the Golden Horn Master immediately left, letting Luofeng and the ancestor speak privately. Panicking a bit before they came face to face, Luofeng respectfully greeted the Space Beast ancestor. He was a true god and the leader of the Space Beast Alliance, possessing a dragon-like body that spanned tens of thousands of miles, making his presence absolutely intimidating and terrifying. With a booming, echoing voice, the ancestor brought up Luofeng's success in killing Venerable Mei Jian. Hearing that, Luofeng panicked even more, realizing that everything that happened in the land of extremes, which was a world created by the ancestor himself, meant the ancestor automatically knew his true identity. In the end, whatever Luofeng tried to hide couldn't escape the ancestor's sight. In fact, using a soul inspection technique fueled by divine power, the ancestor easily scanned his memories to find out exactly why Luofeng had taken over the golden horned beast's body. From just a glimpse of those memories, the ancestor instantly understood that Luofeng did it to protect Earth. Instead of getting mad, the ancestor praised Luofeng's sheer determination to fight beings stronger than himself. Combining all the other info from his memories, the ancestor considered Luofeng a truly rare genius of the human race, the kind seen only once in hundreds of millions of eras. Since there was nothing left to hide, Luofeng shifted his form into his Mosha body and paid his respects once again. He explained that his presence there was purely an accident from getting trapped in the land of extremes. As for taking over the golden horned beast's body, he was forced to do it out of necessity. From the bottom of his heart, Luofeng sincerely apologized to the ancestor. Surprisingly, the ancestor didn't mind at all, stating that taking over the golden horned beast's body was purely Luofeng's luck. But in an even more shocking twist, the ancestor revealed that Luofeng's arrival wasn't a coincidence, but rather a scenario orchestrated by his master, Zuoshan Ke. The reason his master sent him there was because they had a deal. The ancestor would help Luofeng train in the path of the beast god by opening up a crucial area of the Space Beast Alliance specifically for him. The ancestor then shared a massive secret. In the entire vast universe, the ones who truly possessed the purest essence of the beast god were his race, the Space Beast Alliance. The reason behind it all was that they were direct descendants of the beast god. This piece of information finally answered Luofeng's long-standing curiosity about why his golden horn beast body could absorb so many blood river crystals so effortlessly. His hunch about the connection between the golden horned beast and the beast god was now a confirmed fact. Thereafter, wielding the power of a true god's law, Luofeng felt an intense spatial and temporal distortion as he was teleported away. The challenge awaiting Luofeng had finally arrived. If he couldn't meet his master's requirements, it was guaranteed that he'd be trapped there forever. The moment he arrived at the Space Beast Alliance's most sacred ground, Luofeng found himself on top of a giant mountain reaching 60 miles high. From that vantage point, he spotted super magnificent giant statues representing the legendary 8 natural beast gods in various poses. He also noticed that this new world only consisted of 2 massive landscapes, dense, sprawling forests, and 1 colossal mountain. This place was known as the Beast God World. Not long after, another form of the ancestor suddenly appeared, looking like an old man with 9 dragon horns on his head. It was clearly the ancestor's clone. He explained that each beast god statue contained a pinnacle-level secret technique, and Luofeng had full access to train as much as he wanted in this world. Not only that, but the flow of time here was 10,081 times faster than in the original universe, meaning every 10,000 years spent here equaled just 1 year in the original universe. It was then Luofeng realized this world was like the special training grounds back in Primal Chaos City, which could speed up time by 10 to 100 times. But a world that sped time up by 10,000 times was something he had never experienced before. Even with all the abundant help and benefits inside the Beast God world, the ancestor was absolutely certain Luofeng wouldn't meet his master's test requirements. He even made a bet with his master to prove that within 100,000 eras, which roughly translates to 1 billion years, Luofeng would fail. If Luofeng managed to pass the test before the 100,000 eras were up, the ancestor would give him a true treasure perfectly suited for his beast god path training. But if he failed, Luofeng's master would hand over a pinnacle true treasure equivalent to Luofeng's force armor to the ancestor. Luofeng then asked the ancestor what exact condition his master left behind for him to pass this test. Surprisingly, though the condition sounded simple, it was steep. If Luofeng could defeat the ancestor before the 100,000 eras ended, he'd pass. Hearing that, Luofeng thought it was completely impossible for an immortal like him to beat a true god-level being.
击败我，要求很简单。
The ancestor then broke down the rules of the fight. His clone would match its divine body level to be completely equal with Luofeng's. As long as Luofeng was at the immortal level, the ancestor would use techniques equivalent to a universe master's pinnacle technique. If Luofeng leveled up to a universe venerable, the ancestor would bust out a universe master level ultimate technique. Hearing this made Luofeng's morale tank completely. But the ancestor encouraged him, saying that where there's a will and hope, there's a way. Otherwise, Luofeng would be trapped and locked up there forever. From that moment on, the ancestor would be waiting for Luofeng's challenge. Realizing that his goal to reach the Universe Master level felt too distant to even imagine, Luofeng knew he was in a tough spot. To create an ultimate technique at the Universe Master level, one had to deeply understand the power of laws, and Luofeng's current law comprehension was only on par with a Universe Venerable. And even then, his foundation wasn't solid yet. Because of the massive gap between him and the ancestor, Luofeng hesitated, wondering if he could actually pass the test in the Beast God world. Well, of course he can, guys. He's the MC after all. Transforming into his golden horned beast form, Luofeng flew around, exploring each natural beast god statue in their various poses. The first one he visited was a statue embodying the fusion of space and gold laws, perfectly matching the skills he was currently training in. After grasping the meaning behind that statue, Luofeng concentrated and began analyzing the others. There were 64 statues in total, 8 of which were natural beast gods, each featuring distinct postures and scale patterns. Based on Luofeng's knowledge, each group of scale patterns represented a different fusion of laws. But it wasn't just the statues. The mountain walls were also covered in carved patterns of secret techniques left behind by Universe Master level space beasts throughout history. Not wanting to waste the opportunity, Luofeng tried to decipher the meaning behind those patterns. However, they felt way too profound for him to comprehend right now. So, how could he possibly create a secret technique? It seemed absolutely impossible to him. At a loss, his AI, Babata, popped up with a brilliant idea. Since the ancestor only set the condition of defeating him and didn't explicitly ban the use of talent techniques like I am the universe, she suggested using it. Even though this secret technique had the drawback of draining a massive amount of his divine body, it was guaranteed to surpass Universe Venerable level techniques, putting it on par with a Universe Master's ultimate technique. To achieve all this, Luofeng's first step was to master Volume 7 of the 9-volume manual to upgrade his golden horned behemoth body's genes to a perfect level, just like his remote ocean body, so he could unlock talent techniques like I am the universe. As the first step in his training, using his golden horned beast body, Luofeng absorbed a massive amount of blood river crystals. Secondly, he engaged in speed and strength battles against other golden horned beasts to boost his physical prowess. Long story short, decades passed. Babata's analysis showed that with Luofeng's current training progress, his golden horned beast body's gene level had already soared past 9,000. This meant that 100,000 eras was probably way too long. She predicted he might finish in just 100 years. If that prediction came true, only 100 days would pass in the original Star world. So by the time he stepped out of the Beast God world, Luofeng was going to be insanely overpowered, guys. As his gene process neared the perfect score, Luofeng was finally able to go toe-to-toe in pure physical strength with the other golden horned beasts. He could even shatter a mountain with just a roar. Eventually, his golden horned beast body successfully hit the perfect gene level of 10,000. Sadly though, his golden horned body didn't go through any unique transformations or phenomena. Luofeng sat down and thought hard. wondering why his golden-horned beast's divine body didn't experience the cool changes and unique phenomena that his remote ocean body previously did. He wasn't even sure if he could pull off the I am the universe technique because it seemed the size of his golden-horned divine body didn't meet the requirements either. If he forced it, his divine body would definitely be drained dry with nothing left. Meanwhile, the ancestor and Zuo Qi were seen drinking wine together. Watching Luofeng struggling in despair, the ancestor mocked Zuo Shanke, saying his disciple was bound to fail the test. But Zuo Shanke just replied not to jump to conclusions so quickly. Brimming with confidence about his impending win, the ancestor explained that his own universe was far inferior to the original universe. Thus, he didn't have the capacity to grant or evolve Luofeng's divine body, nor could he bestow talent techniques once Luofeng's genes hit the perfect level. He actually felt super lucky they made the bet on his turf. If it were in the original universe, he might have actually lost. Hearing all this, Zuo Shanqi remained perfectly calm, just enjoying the wine the ancestor offered. Seeing Zuo Shanqi's totally unbothered expression, the ancestor got curious why was this old man sitting across from him so relaxed. Could it be that Zuo Shanqi was hiding something up his sleeve? Back in the beast god world, Luofeng sat calmly cross-legged, trying to clear his head. He realized that if a true god-tier master like his master dared to place such a massive bet, he must have believed Luofeng actually had a shot at winning. But what was that winning angle exactly? As he circled the natural beast god statues, Luofeng questioned why his master went through so much trouble just to get him into the beast god world to train. There had to be an underlying reason and an answer hidden behind the mysteries of this world that he just hadn't figured out yet. This time, working with intense precision and high-level concentration over a long period, Luofeng managed to master two sets of techniques. One was a soul technique called Nine-Peak Lock, which could multiply his soul power almost 100-fold. The other was a divine body enhancement technique called Golden Beast God, which also provided a 100-fold boost. But even after learning both techniques, Luofeng felt like they still weren't the real solution for activating his talent techniques. From what Luofeng understood so far, throughout the history of powerful beings visiting the beast god world, there must have been tons of secret techniques and hundreds of ultimate techniques left scattered all over the place. Yet, all of them had failed to unravel the true mystery hidden in this world. If a lot of them had succeeded, there was no way the ancestor would have dared to make that bet with his master. So, what was the real secret hiding in this world? After mulling it over for a long time, Luofeng deduced that the answer to the secret probably wasn't just some external factor or something explicitly visible in the beast god world. Instead, it all connected back to his own unique traits combined with the 64 beast god statues. He realized that the true, most valuable treasure in the entire beast god world was hidden right behind those ancient statues. Luofeng tried piecing together all the patterns from the 64 statues, and the result blew his mind. He realized that the secret patterns carved onto the heads of all 64 statues actually represented the absolute highest path of cultivation in the universe, and they could be merged into one perfect, unified, universal law. If he could combine his understanding of every single statue, he was confident he could create a top-tier secret technique with power far exceeding anything else out there. On the flip side, continuing the chat between the two true gods, Zuo Shanke finally burst out laughing because his disciple had successfully cracked the mystery. The ancestor, however, argued that even though Luofeng had managed to spot a few patterns from the statues, cultivating the beast god path to a perfect level wasn't that easy in reality. Not wanting to argue any further, Zuo Shanqi quietly snagged a bottle of the ancestor's wine and left, feeling totally confident that the ancestor's true treasure was practically already his.
谁说要给你了？你的巅峰至宝都要输给了你。哎呀，我了这点酒算什么？你。
Jumping back to Luofeng, even though he had figured out the biggest secret of the beast god world, he knew that understanding alone wasn't going to cut it, thanks to his lacking divine body. He figured there had to be some unique trait within him that could solve the issue. So he started analyzing his personal treasures one by one, specifically the Star Tower and the 9-volume manual. The Star Tower actually had way more detailed secret patterns etched on all its pillars compared to the statues in the Beast God world. As for the 9-volume manual, he had only trained in those patterns to surpass the life gene limits set by the universe's laws. But the deeper mystery behind it and exactly why the universal laws rejected the existence of the 9-volume manual were things Luofeng still hadn't figured out. So, his only remaining workaround for his current problem was to transfer his consciousness over to his remote ocean body and unleash the talent technique he snagged the very first time he hit the perfect gene level, I am the universe. His remote ocean body then transformed into an ocean that totally flooded Luofeng's god country. This created 2 black holes inside the god country that seemed to suck in absolutely everything, forming a giant oval sphere, much like yin and yang, that contained both space and gold laws. That massive sphere was the manifestation of his god country transforming into a miniature universe. And incredibly enough, Luofeng realized that this mini-world was a direct extension of his own body and consciousness, merging as one to completely boost the sheer volume of his divine body. Then what happened next? Okay, thank you for watching until the end, and don't forget to support this channel with likes, subscribe, and comments. That's all from me. Bye.
经过这18000万人，但即便如此，也并不意味着总算是真正脱胎换骨了。等等，那是星空始祖，一个当老师的都没这么大手笔。罗峰，向你挑战，都2个纪元了，还一次没进球。 说什么？他也要学习星？我怕，
就是不敢进去吧。
外界都在盛传我，那正是我想要的。